Every great story has its pivotal moments, turning points that reveal the true nature of its characters and the unfolding of destiny. In the life of Jesus, there were many public miracles, but then there were those profound, almost secret moments reserved for his closest followers. Glimpses behind the veil of the ordinary, revealing the extraordinary truth. Today, we're going to ascend to one of the most breathtaking and mystifying events in the Gospels, the Transfiguration. Imagine standing beside Jesus, only to witness him radiate with a glory brighter than the sun. And then, from out of eternity, two legendary figures from our previous video, those who uniquely departed this earth, suddenly appear to converse with him. This isn't just a story. It's a profound revelation of divine identity, prophetic fulfillment, and heavenly glory. Before we ascend this sacred mountain, if you're eager to uncover more powerful truths and hidden gems from God's timeless word, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to Bible Story Spot. Your support truly helps us share these vital lessons with more people. Our story begins just a few days after a very significant conversation Jesus had with his disciples. He had just revealed to them for the first time that he must go to Jerusalem and suffer many things, be killed, and on the third day be raised to life. This was a shocking and difficult truth for them to grasp, especially for Peter, who even rebuked Jesus. Now, about 6 days later, Jesus chose 3 of his closest disciples, Peter, James, and John. These were often the disciples he brought into his inner circle for moments of profound significance, like the raising of Jairus' daughter or later in Gethsemane. He led them away from the crowds, up a high mountain by themselves. The specific mountain isn't named in the Bible, though tradition often points to Mount Tabor or Mount Hermon. What's important is the setting, high above the world, isolated, a place of solitude and communion with God. Think of Moses going up Mount Sinai to meet with God. Mountains in the Bible often signify places where heaven and earth draw close. They went there to pray. Luke's gospel specifically tells us that Jesus went up the mountain to pray. As Jesus often did, he sought out quiet, secluded places to connect with his Father. And it was during this moment of prayer that something truly extraordinary began to happen. As Jesus prayed, the disciples were watching. Perhaps they were sleepy. As Luke records, they often were during Jesus' extended prayers. But what they witnessed next would have startled them wide awake. The Bible tells us that Jesus' appearance was transfigured before them. This word transfigured means changed in form or transformed from within. It wasn't merely an external light, it was an internal glory breaking forth. Matthew tells us that his face shone like the sun and his clothes became as white as the light. Mark says his clothes became dazzling white, whiter than anyone in the world could bleach them. Luke adds that the appearance of his face changed and his clothes became as bright as a flash of lightning. Imagine the scene, the ordinary human form of Jesus, the teacher they walked with every day, suddenly radiating with an intense, supernatural light, reflecting the very glory of God. It must have been an overwhelming sight for Peter, James, and John, a direct, undeniable glimpse of his divine nature, his true identity breaking through his human flesh. It was a preview of his resurrection body and his ultimate glory as the Son of God. But the supernatural display didn't end there. As Jesus was transfigured, 2 figures suddenly appeared beside him. They weren't just apparitions, they were discernible, identifiable individuals. The Bible clearly names them, Moses and Elijah. Think back to our previous video on the 3 men who never saw death. Here were 2 of them, Elijah, who had been taken up to heaven in a fiery chariot without dying, and Moses, who, though he died and was buried by God in a secret grave, had a truly unique departure and burial, his body later even disputed by the archangel Michael himself. Their presence confirmed their continued existence beyond earthly life. And what were these 2 monumental figures doing? They were talking with Jesus. Luke tells us they were speaking about his departure, which he was about to bring to fulfillment at Jerusalem. The word used for departure is Exodus, AKCO Micron Delta Omicronio, a direct reference to his impending death, resurrection, and ascension. which would be the ultimate exodus for all humanity from sin and death. The law, represented by Moses, the giver of the law, and the prophets, represented by Elijah, the greatest prophet, were both conversing with Jesus about the central event of his mission, his sacrificial death in Jerusalem. It was a powerful cosmic confirmation of who Jesus was and what he was about to accomplish. The disciples, likely overwhelmed and perhaps a bit drowsy at first, were now fully awake, witnessing this truly unbelievable divine summit meeting. How would they react to such a moment? And what would happen next? As Moses and Elijah stood there with the transfigured Jesus bathed in divine light, Peter, ever the impulsive one, decided he needed to say something. Perhaps out of awe, or perhaps from sheer bewilderment, he blurted out to Jesus, "Lord, it is good for us to be here. If you wish, I will put up 3 shelter stones for you, one for Moses and one for Elijah." Luke's gospel notes that Peter did not know what he was saying, which is quite telling. Peter, in his zeal, was trying to capture and prolong this incredible moment. He likely viewed Moses and Elijah as equals to Jesus in this vision, perhaps thinking of the booths built for the Feast of Tabernacles. He wanted to preserve this divine gathering. But he fundamentally missed the point. This wasn't about settling in, it was about a profound revelation of Jesus' unique identity and mission. It wasn't about building shelters for 3 equals, but about acknowledging the one to whom all the law and prophets pointed. Peter was still speaking, perhaps even still fumbling for words, when something even more awe-inspiring occurred. Suddenly, a bright cloud enveloped them, overshadowing them. In the Old Testament, a cloud often symbolized the very presence of God, his Shekinah glory, a visible manifestation of his holiness. Think of the pillar of cloud that led Israel through the wilderness, or the cloud that filled the tabernacle and the temple. This was a clear sign that God himself was drawing near. And from within the cloud, a voice boomed forth. This was the voice of God the Father, the same voice that spoke at Jesus' baptism. The message was clear, powerful, and undeniable. "This is my Son whom I love. With him I am well pleased. Listen to him." This divine proclamation left no room for doubt. It confirmed beyond all question Jesus' unique identity as the beloved Son of God, not merely a prophet like Elijah or a lawgiver like Moses, but the ultimate authority. And the command, "Listen to him," was a direct word to the disciples and to all of us that Jesus is the ultimate revelation of God, whose words carry final authority. Overwhelmed by this incredible experience, Peter, James, and John fell face down on the ground, terrified. The sheer majesty and holiness of God's presence, coupled with the profound weight of his words, was more than they could bear. As they lay there in reverent fear, Jesus approached them. He gently touched them and said, "Get up, don't be afraid." His calming presence dispelled their terror. When they looked up, the dazzling light had faded, the glorious cloud was gone, and Moses and Elijah had vanished. There was only Jesus, looking as he normally did, just as they knew him. The profound, supernatural moment had passed, and they were back to their ordinary reality, but forever changed by what they had witnessed. As they descended the mountain, Jesus gave them a strict command. "Don't tell anyone what you have seen, until the Son of Man has been raised from the dead." This instruction was crucial. The disciples were not yet ready to fully grasp the meaning of a suffering and resurrected Messiah, and prematurely spreading the story of glory might have fueled misguided expectations of an earthly king. The full understanding of Jesus' glory would only come after his resurrection. The Transfiguration is far more than just a miraculous story. It's a foundational event that offers powerful lessons. Confirmation of Jesus' identity. This event unequivocally declares Jesus as the divine Son of God, the Messiah promised through all of Scripture, fulfillment of the law and prophets. The appearance of Moses, representing the law, and Elijah, representing the prophets, signifies that Jesus is the culmination and fulfillment of everything that came before him. He is the ultimate revelation. Glimpse of future glory. It offered the disciples a preview of Jesus' ultimate glory, his resurrection body, and the heavenly kingdom. It reminds us that Jesus is the ultimate authority, the final word, and the one we are to follow above all else. Hope and assurance. For us today, the Transfiguration provides profound assurance of Christ's divinity and the reality of heavenly glory. It shows that our faith is founded on the very Son of God, and that even those who pass on, like Moses and Elijah, live on in God's presence. The Transfiguration stands as a breathtaking moment in biblical history, confirming the truth of Jesus' identity and offering a glimpse into the glorious reality of God's kingdom. It invites us to listen closely to his voice and anticipate the day when we too might see him in his full glory. What aspects of the Transfiguration moved or intrigued you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If this powerful biblical event deepened your understanding, please like this video and subscribe to Bible Story Spot for more incredible truths from God's timeless word. Thank you for joining us.